Good.
Good evening, Ryan. How are you?
I'm doing all right. You said you were a little under the weather today.
Yeah, feeling okay today, but
Okay.
tis the season.
Yeah, man. It's it's actually today was actually a cool day in Georgia. It wasn't melting our faces off, which is nice. So
That's always nice.
anything where our faces don't melt off, that's when it's called cool. So it's not fake fall. It's not false fall. So we have a thing called false fall where it gets really cold for like 2 days. Um, 1 second. Anitra is joining us in 1 second.
Perfect.
All right. All right. So, we have a thing called false fall, which is like for 2 days it gets really cold and then 95 degrees the very next day. Makes no
Interesting.
sense. But so we've already been through false fall. So cool. Hey, let's introduce our guest.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, go to it.
All right.
Hi.
Anitra Smith
howdy.
The Family Gamers. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, other than the technical difficulties that made me a couple minutes late.
Things happen.
Oh, you're totally fine. We're so used to technical difficulties around here that like it just is kind of baked into the process. Like every other episode, one of us won't be here for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you've missed like half an episode before.
Oh man, that was when we had Fortessa on. That was the absolute worst.
Yeah,
like,
you just
I felt like.
I mean, you do this long enough, you've seen just about every aspect of something didn't work right?
100%.
Yeah. Yep. So
I did tune
Rick
in
said this is better to watch than the game.
It got really cold for false fall, and
So false fall. Yeah, you guys know what cold is. We don't.
I mean, we do get the same phenomenon where
like
it actually gets cold and then it gets hot again. We had that last week. But I would be willing to bet the weather we're currently having outside, you would be like, oh my goodness, it's winter. And we're like, this is barely fall.
That's funny.
It was 45 degrees this morning and it felt so good to me. And everybody's like, oh, I got to get a jacket. So, yeah.
It's good. I like cool weather. Every day in October, and I was like, "Let me have one more day before I'm just cold all the time."
That's funny.
That's fair.
I like being cold. I'm a big fan. So Anitra, you are joining us. By the way, if it sounds like there's a coffee house grinding coffee beans right over there, that is because my daughter's teaching my wife how to make espresso.
Fun.
A worthy endeavor.
Yeah. So it's going to be good. So Anitra, you're joining us. We are celebrating the fact that Essen took place, even though we didn't go and none of us are there. But we're going to be talking about international games with an international spin, international game companies, games that were possibly published internationally before they came to the U.S., all that sort of stuff. So we'll be talking about that. And if you're in the chat, whether you're joining from Facebook or YouTube, or we're trying to link up with TikTok, which is it working? I
think
right now?
All that's on is me, so it's probably just a lot of silent me. So if you're watching from TikTok, there's like 50 people watching on TikTok right now. Go over to one of our YouTube channels. Game with Sidekicks, or it's on your YouTube too right now, isn't it? It's One Word Family's YouTube as well. So we'll figure this TikTok stuff out.
We'll figure it out. It'll get there eventually.
Man, that's
don't have the right young person mindset for TikTok.
That's our hot.
Yeah, I'll publish one thing. It gets like 1,200 views, and then I'll publish something else that gets like 100, and I'm like,
that's our hotness.
5 views, and I'm like, I didn't even think it was possible to have views that low.
Yeah, I only got 5. That's gotta be please. So, let me show off the latest Halloween shirt.
Love it.
Love Trick or Treat with Bart Simpson as a skeleton.
Hi to random guests. Oh, it's your daughter.
Random guests.
Yes.
Hello,
Claire.
That's Claire.
It was positioning herself out of shot.
Good call, Claire.
There we go. So, yeah. Anytime my kids, all you see is their head just kind of pokes in, and they're like, "Oh."
But you're,
and then they go.
I assume you have quite a Halloween shirt collection, Brian.
Yeah, so this was my 7th Halloween shirt, so I actually have one for each day of the week now, which is really good.
Perfect.
I feel good about that. I feel like I'm living my best life.
I think that is indeed the case for you.
That's right. So,
opening question.
Let's jump into this thing.
Yeah, our opening question, since we are talking international games, we are talking distance traveled, as we talk about Essen. I thought I'd start off with, what is the furthest place you've been from your own home?
Well, for me, it's actually London. I had to look it up ahead of time. By the way, Rick, I do have a lamp. That's why I don't just look like I live in darkness.
Rick, get out of here, dude.
That was part of my technical difficulties.
Rick is our troll. So
we don't live stream.
Rick's our troll.
We only use video to make sure that people like we're talking to can see us and nobody else needs to see us. So it's like, it's dark, whatever.
Fair.
Yeah. Well, actually, it gives a kind of spooky vibe. So
London for 2 months when I was in college. So not only was I far away from home, I was far away from home for a long time.
Okay.
Fair enough. Cool. Hey, there's Luke's joining us. Luke was over on TikTok saying, I only hear you talking, so perfect.
Oh,
that's funny. We don't understand the TikToks yet, Luke. Thank you for
I'm working on it.
Yeah, we're getting there. We'll get there one day. So my furthest is Amsterdam. Went to Amsterdam in December of last year on a trip with me and my wife and my brother and sister-in-law. Had a really great time. The Rijksmuseum, which is up there, is amazing. Like one of the greatest museums I've ever been to in my life, and so just gorgeous. And so that's the furthest I've traveled. So yeah,
it's fair.
What about you?
For me, it's the Hawaiian Islands is the furthest I've been from my home. So that's
nice.
Clear out as far west of the U.S. On the U.S. map as you get. So been there a number of times. Beautiful area, and not where any of my international game themes are going to take place. And I was thinking through that. There's not a lot of Hawaii. There's like a couple games with Hawaii as a theme.
Yeah.
There's not a ton.
I'm trying to think. Yeah.
I think there's one called Hawaii. I don't even know if I've ever played it. But yeah, it's kind of interesting. And sometimes as we do these shows, I start like doglegging right on like, oh, there's not like football. When we did the sports one, I was like, there's not a ton of really good football games out. So start thinking about that stuff.
Absolutely.
Our next question, since we are talking about international games, is what makes a game international? What makes a game a Euro versus an American game? I know the term that's often thrown around is Ameritrash, but what makes something more of an American game versus a European or Euro game? And give me a good example in those areas. Anitra, what do you got?
I mean, I think that a typical American game is all about your theme to the detriment of the gameplay sometimes. So it's like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had, minis, except they're not really minis. They're 4 inches tall. Yeah, that would be awesome. Like that to me is sort of the core American mindset when it comes.
That's fair.
Yeah. It's interesting because I think that there's some design elements that feel like a Euro, that are traditionally assigned to being a Euro. I think of the fact that Galactic Cruise from Kinson Games, that is a Euro. It's about space travel. It's the most non-Lacerda game that I've ever played in my life. And it has that feel. I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things when you play it, you're like, oh yeah, this is a Euro, or it's inspired by.
Yeah, that's fair. So. And I don't think all Euros have to be made in Europe, right? But Euros to me are the heavy strategy games where it's a lot of choice, a lot of thinking through details, and really for me it frames, like you were just saying, a lot of these Lacerda games behind me kind of fit into that when I first think about it. With American games or Ameritrash, I think a little more luck, a little more aggression in my games too, right? And the first one I thought of as we were thinking through this was Thunder Road, because that fits that like aggressive, take that little more luck involved. Can't tell you, Ryan, I've played that the last 3 weeks on Thursday night for our game night. I bring it out for different people every time, and it surprises me the amount of people. I should say this: the people that have enjoyed it the most surprise me because they're the ones that dislike luck, dislike dice rolling. But they're like, "This is fast," and I loved it. One game we went through 7 like additions on the end before somebody finally died, which that felt like too long. And last Thursday we played, we only added 1 map. I was out. I'm consistently the first person out. I feel like I'm playing like old school Munchkin, where everybody's like, "It's his game. Let's gang up on him and kill him." So
that's fun.
But everybody really enjoys it. The more I've played it, the more I've enjoyed it. It's definitely one I'm glad I have.
That's cool. So, so Rick is.
Thanks, Rick.
I enjoy Isaac's voice. I'd like it even more if it were on a podcast, maybe in a format where he judges between 2 different things.
Hey, we should record that.
Once again, referencing the unreleased, we have an unreleased Will It Game episode with Isaac. Because it's on my other computer that I haven't started literally in 3 months. And so I do think about it when I go to bed and I'm laying there and I see the computer. I'm like, I should probably get around to that.
It was a fun format too. So it's
obviously you need to do more like the Family Gamers, where we never do anything more than a week in advance, and so we always feel pushed by deadlines and often are putting stuff out, like still editing and stuff 20 minutes before it goes online. Super healthy way to run an online content channel.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I'm kind of worried about it at this point because we recorded it in March or April, maybe?
April of 2019, I believe. About 4 years.
We recorded in like March or April, and I'm kind of worried about it because we probably talked about something like, "Aren't you glad spring's here?"
I think we said, "Have you seen the crazy news come out of Wuhan?" And I was like, "No, what is it?" Like, there's some virus. It could be big. Yeah,
they said it could be bad. So,
you'll get it on the 5-year anniversary of our show. But we're trucking along here. This is episode 56 here of the Game Chat. So. Moving and shaking here. Moving on international. What is your favorite international publisher?
Okay, man, I wish you guys didn't make me go first on this one.
You get to go first on everything. So
I know.
Guess
there are so many.
There are.
And I really like ones like Oink and Helvetic that do a lot of like really simple, easy to play games. But I think I'm gonna have to go with Haba, the king of kids games.
Yep.
So many of those have come in and out of our house, and we recommend them so often, especially for younger kids. But even their non-yellow box line, their like family and adult lines, are really awesome.
Yeah, it's hard not to love Haba games.
Yep. Cozy Little Brown House, so interested in everything Devere is doing right now. Yes, I'm shouting out Devere in just a moment with a future question. So Little Big Thumbs, welcome to the stream. I would say favorite international, I would go Lucky Duck. I feel like Lucky Duck is doing a lot of stuff. They've imported some things that I've really enjoyed. The King of 12 is a game that flies under the radar, but I think it's a fantastic game that they imported years ago from France. And so I think it's French game. Yeah. And so I think, feels French. They're importing a lot of really great games, and Lucky Duck is an international game company. So, we've got, we've got CGE. CGE is a great one. Yeah. So many good games in their library. And then we've got Cozy Little Brown House, Adventureland, Karuba. I don't know.
Those are all Haba games.
Yeah, Karuba is super
good. What is that one?
Miyabi's really good. That was a little heavier game for them.
Miyabi is amazingly good.
Yeah.
Okay. That's one where we reviewed it.
I don't know that one.
We had a friend write the review, and he got to keep the game, and I was like, "Oh, but I want it. Can I have it back?" No.
Yes. So I don't know Phil's. I don't know who which publisher
He's
the
at
Phil's
he's at the
are.
game. He's at the game right
So-
now. He probably can't hear a word we're saying.
Oh, I know. He's watching us on a stream while watching the Braves get beaten to a pulp.
Oh man,
my
thanks for
goodness.
tuning in anyway, bro, Bob. DeVere, yeah, again, like
DeVere.
Luke said there,
So good.
DeVere's. Man, that was my first choice, and then I had Lucky Duck as a possibility. But then, honestly, I started thinking about it, and my recent everything's been hot. Definitely DeVere, everyth's been hot from them. But the other one's Board and Dice, and man, I just
Board and
love
Dice, yeah.
everything Board and Dice is doing right now.
Sure.
I've not had a bad
Nucleum.
game from them. Oh, might be my Essen thing I'm
Nucleum.
missing this year. So we'll talk
That's
about that in a second.
Yeah, that's one that I want to check out.
Oh yeah,
So,
it's high on my
Rick
list.
says that. Yeah, Rick says that Phoebe, she wants you to talk about First Orchard from Haba. That is her favorite. So,
well, we are missing
Andrew
go ahead.
Smith, Pegasus. Yes.
Oh yeah, Pegasus Spiel.
They were on my short list.
Yeah.
Now my husband is watching from upstairs.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh,
good job.
perfect.
There we go. Nice.
It's a good pick also. So we are missing Essen.
He's throwing in. Yep.
Naturally.
We are missing a good Essen this year. It looks like there's been a ton. I don't know if you guys looked on the preview list on BGG when you were looking at titles. It said it had over 1,200 listings on there.
So many good titles.
Crazy. And all of them aren't necessarily brand new at Essen, but a lot of them were first timers at Essen. So knowing what we know about Essen, first off, I think I know the answer for Ryan, but I don't know if I know for Anitra. Have you ever been? If you haven't been, what would you love to see? And if you have been, what do we need to see?
I have not been, although Andrew got to go last year, so I lived a little bit vicariously through him.
It's fair.
Nice.
I'm hoping at some point in the future to be able to go, which is weird for me because like the really big conventions, I don't have that much interest in. Like anything bigger than a Origins or a PAX Unplugged. Like I never want to go to Gen Con. I never want to go to Gen Con.
It's something.
At Essen, I just feel like it's so huge, and I just want to have the experience once. I also know that the only way I would get there is probably working for a friend, which will kind of cut down on just how much of the hugeness I actually have to experience / get to experience.
Yeah. I think that's the tough part, is that I can't see us going to Essen without it being a situation where we worked with somebody to do it. I don't feel like it makes sense for our channel to go. To cover it from a media standpoint, but I do want to experience it. I think it would be partially, we talked to a couple different people over the years about like their trips to Essen their very first time, and it was part like sightseeing and part just going to experience the con for the first time. So
and I think that's where we would be, right? It would have to be like a European trip around that, or you and I have our friend Jacob who's over there. Jake Kuhn is not too far. I've got some other friends who are missionary workers in Germany that I'm like, I wonder if I could like swing this together with a trip to both. But I don't think I have no interest to cover it just to cover it, more just to experience it. As my wife and I were going through conventions, we were chatting this week. I went to 7 in the last year, which is like a crazy amount.
This past year was,
but I got to go to all the PAXs. I got to go to Tantrum Con, or I got to check out some really cool ones. And Gen Con is something. And neither of you have been to Gen Con, right?
No.
Yeah, and it's like, from what I understand, I think Andrew even said it here, Essen seems gigantic, but feels laid back. Gen Con's gigantic, but it's crammed into a space, right? And it felt chaotic, and I just get the vibe from Essen that it's a lot more chill, that it's more spread out, that it's more of the chill environment. So I'd love to check it out, mainly as kind of a check it off the the hit list, bucket list as a gamer.
Little Big Thumbs, post-COVID, I found Gen Con last year to be triggering all sorts of anxiety in me, looking at smaller cons going forward. I part of me, like Aaron and I have talked about Gen Con in the past, and neither one of us feel like it is necessary or we would enjoy it, So Stephanie, cozy little brown house, same Anitra. We love Origins. Hard pass on Gen Con. Would be more interested in Essen.
Yeah,
I think it's the relationships with the company. Everybody's there, and everybody's putting out their best, and that's the thing I noticed the most. But I'm not one to get a lot of anxiety, so I understand what you're saying. Little big thumbs. Like I went to Chris's charity board game meetup, right? So that was not this year, but the previous year we were still masked. And man, that was so crowded. There's so many people. I had to step out.
I
had to step out, and I was just like in the corner. Derek came and found me. He's like, "You all right?" I'm like, "I just can't do it. It's too much." Like there was just so much all around you. And this year felt a lot crazier with the amount of people, but felt a little less anxiety, which was nice. But yeah, it's an experience to be had. I'm sure Essen is exactly the same, where it's man, you definitely want to check it out at least once.
Yeah.
One of the things that stuck with me that Andrew said about Essen was that a really big con like an Origins or a Gen Con or something like that in the US is very much about, I want to go, I want to see the hotness, I want to like buy the game, all that, and then maybe I will take the game and go take it somewhere else. And the thing he found at Essen is that every booth had to have space to sit down and play a game, and most people expected to sit down and play a full game of whatever it was.
Really?
So that would contribute to that more laid back kind of feel, because it's not a, bang, 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 we're going to be here for 5 minutes and make our decision and leave.
That would definitely help.
That makes sense. It's a different, it sounds like it's a different speed too. Anytime we go to Origins, we know if the game's going to take 45 minutes or longer, there's no chance that we're going to be playing it at the booth with people. We're going to have to go find a copy in a demo area. Right. And so I feel like that there's probably a cultural difference there too, of what the expectation is for, people who show up at these conventions.
For sure. So. Speaking of Essen, there are some hot releases for it, as we said on the BGG page, over 1,200. What Essen release has got you most excited to check out?
All right, there's a bunch, but I will limit myself to actually talking about one. I promise. One that might not even ever come to the US, but it just looks so cool is Flugelrad. Which is this game. It looks almost like a Chinese checkers. It's 2 colors of marbles. It's a 2-player only game. It's 2 colors of marbles, and then this little thing that looks like a cross between almost like a water wheel and like a bicycle gear that sits down on top of one of these hexagons full of marbles, and then you can take it and turn it to move all the marbles that are in that hex. And so I read through the rules a little bit, and the idea is that you're trying to make a grouping of 6 of your own color of marble. But since everybody's turn is put the wheel down and spin it, it's one of those like super thinky abstracts that's going to be really easy to learn, but you have to think so far.
How many times does
you can rotate it as far as you want?
Okay. So you could, I feel like that's a real take that situation where you're trying to screw over other people, but you're actually just messing the whole board up. It's that's interesting.
Just added that to that list for me.
Is it cool?
No, really?
Cool.
It looks amazing.
It's a cool looking.
Chad, where you at? Bring this thing in here.
Chad, what are you doing, man?
You should bring up what Andrew said, because this is appropriate to your talk early about Hawaiian themed games.
Okay.
Clemens Gerhard, that makes this Flugelrad game, made a game last year called Linnea Kea, which is a Hawaiian like turtle theme, and again, it's an all wood abstract game.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't have any turtle games in my collection. Okay.
Yeah. The idea is that it's 2 sets of turtles trying to make it back to their
same designer, you said?
Same designer.
I think it's the same designer. It's definitely the same publisher.
Doesn't look like the same designer. Cool. I'll check the publisher. All right, Ryan, what do you got?
Very cool. So actually, because Devere's been just absolute fire this past year, I would say the White Castle. The White Castle looks beautiful, looks real thinky. It's a game that I'm actually really excited for its release here stateside. It looks really good, and I don't know. There's something about the art style of it that I really dig, and the track record that Devere has for the past year. It's a no-brainer for me. That's the one I would easily put.
There you go. Got the picture up for you there.
Yeah.
Is it is it in the same world as Bitoku and Bamboo?
That's what I don't know. It's got some of that style to it.
Yeah, it has a similar art style to it.
Yes. So
because they put Bamboo in the same world as Bitoku.
Okay.
So I wonder. And
I haven't played. I've played Bitoku twice, but I haven't played Bamboo.
Bamboo is a deceptively full game for being in a small box. Bob's got it. I taught him.
That's what yeah. Okay. So now Bob needs to bring that.
He 100% needs to teach you that.
Bob, what are you doing watching?
I taught him at like 3 a.m. at Gen Con, so we'll see how much he.
So you taught it?
No, I taught it well. How much he learned correctly.
Well for 3 a.m.
Mine is what we went back to with Board and Dice. Oh, there you go. Luke played White Castle. So we're talking about the board game, not the burger joint. Luke, just
yeah, I was about to say I like White Castle for a couple of reasons.
My pick is going to be from Board and Dice as well. And you just kind of mentioned it a few minutes ago. I have the picture up there is Nucleum. I'm just, like I said, I'm excited about everything Board and Dice is doing. I love the theme, Industrial Revolution. The art looked great from what I saw. It's got that 2 to 3 hour window of a lot of stuff going on. And I'm super excited to check this one out as well. Probably, hopefully, we'll see it at PAX because there's a couple companies there that bring in a bunch of games from Essen. So I'm hoping they bring this guy in.
Gotcha.
So
maybe.
Very excited.
Yeah, that's cool. So let's see. We've got Stephanie over at Cozy Little Brown House on my list, the White Castle, Far Away, For a Shuffle, and Hagag.
I don't know how you say that. It's supposed to be super cozy.
I don't know that one.
It's like a word that means cozy.
Oh.
Okay. My dog decided that, hey, I'm not going to be quiet. I'm just going to bark for no reason. So, and the new Kids Chronicles from Lucky Duck auto buy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those were the first one was amazing.
That's so cool. That's really good.
Oh, he knows which White Castle. We're good. No, thank goodness. I was concerned. I wasn't sure.
Good to know.
Yeah. He knows which one we're talking about.
So we are part of this trifecta of family. We once had a name, I think we did a podcast. It was the One Board Family Gamers with Sidekicks or something. I can't remember how we jammed it together.
Like that.
But tell the people that are here a little bit about the Family Gamers, Anitra, who you guys are and what you all do.
Oh, sure. Well, since 2015, my husband and I have been doing a podcast and board game reviews and focusing mostly on getting families to play games together. So getting parents to play games with their kids, getting kids to play games with the adults in their lives, even adult kids with their other relatives. And we've really kind of focused in on younger kids. People seem to find that really, really helpful. It's getting harder for me because my oldest is now 9 years old. So we don't have little kids in the house anymore.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that we've been able to be helpful with that. So we have at this point a podcast every other week, and we put out a written review every week and a video board game review every week. The videos we call snap reviews. We review an entire game in 5 minutes or so. And we'll tell you how to play the game, what the art is like, what we like about it, what we don't like about it, all of that, and who we think a game is best suited for. Because I think that's a big part of reviewing stuff well, is to say, hey, I didn't like this game, but I think it's great for this sort of thing. Or if you don't like this style of game, this game is not for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, one of the things I like about your snap reviews is that they're very comprehensive as far as like what you're going to expect, what you can expect if you sat down with the game. You give some examples of like how you all interacted, how you and Andrew interacted with the game, what the kids thought about it if the kids played, and then also kind of give. That's something that with previews we try to do from time to time. This may not seem like your style, but this is the type of person that might enjoy it. And I like that your snap reviews cover that, because it's really helpful for people who are looking for new games.
I appreciate that you two don't always just say we feel the exact same way about a game as well, because that's not always the case, is it? Right?
No, it's definitely not. We've had a few of those lately where I was like, I wasn't excited for this game at all, and Andrew is like, I thought it was going to be great.
Yeah, and I think that has value, that has weight, right? When you start 100%. To see somebody and you're like, hey, they liked X, Y, and Z, and I liked X, Y, and Z, and there's some similarities. And my wife and I, we were just talking today, one of our chats about what's that game you like, Ryan? Unmatched.
So much.
I still have never played it. I will never own Unmatched because 90% of my 2-player games now are my wife and I. And she does not like tactical head-to-head combat-y kind of games. And so I'll try it someday, but at this point it's been so long.
I think you're intentionally not trying not to play it.
Maybe.
I think when you see Unmatched, you literally run the other way. I'm going to corner you one day. I'm going to corner you one day. Yes.
Somewhere.
You come in with the board, all have the miniatures, and if it's in front of him, he has to play it.
So. I mean, that's how it works.
That's fair. Yeah, just moving my hand.
It can usually be played at 3 or 4 players as well, which is actually how it often gets played in our house at this point.
There we go.
That's fair.
My kids really like Unmatched.
But you start to, and you talked about having, your youngest, as your husband corrected you, now
yes,
your oldest. Your youngest is 9.
Our youngest kid is 9.
I mean, my youngest now is 17. He's a senior, right? Like I'm less than a year away from being just my wife and I in the house. So, we played different stuff. My son used to be my number one person I played games with, and he's sunk down to like 4 this year so far. And like even my buddy Hank is going to pass him, which makes me sad because I don't even like Hank that much. And
Hank's not a great person.
I'm kidding. Hank is one of my favorite people to game with, and it's transitions, right? Things move and they change and they're new, and you play with different people, and your kids, like you said, when they get older, adult kids are still kids you want to play games with, right? Still people you want to hang out with. So you learn, and you've seen that in your house, Ryan, just as much, right? As your kids have gotten older.
Well, that's why I greatly value things like, what is it? Boop over here. Me and Aaron have sat down and played that most weekends because we're up and the kids are sleeping, and they're teenagers. And so they sleep until 11 o'clock. And so, anyway, so loves you too. I think he means both of us.
Don't know. There you go. There's my heart for you, Hank.
Please don't do that. That feels very.
You gotta do like the kids do now.
I have arthritis in my finger. There we go.
Please stop.
There you go.
Screenshot that, Hank. It's as good as it's gonna get.
It's terrible.
Well, yeah. So you mentioned you do the YouTube snap reviews are kind of your big output. You guys are still doing written.
We're still doing a written review every week, and our written reviews are not the same as our snap reviews. Although for people who would prefer to read, like me, we always do a full transcript of the snap reviews too. So if you just want to read and see a couple of pictures, that's still an option.
Yeah.
Yep. Still has weight. And you saw that discussion on Facebook this week. People enjoy a good written review. They don't want, the instruction book laid out to them.
I didn't see that conversation.
It was interesting. It was I think it was in the media Facebook group. It was talking about, do people like written? Do they like video? And there was a lot of people that said, I can't watch videos all the time. Videos get watched, but they're like, I'm looking for, heck, I'd be honest, I can pull up a written review on my work computer. I can't really play a video while I'm supposed to be doing our stuff. But that idea of it's easy to read a quick written thing, especially from somebody that's putting out consistent content. So.
And this is the dirty little secret. I hate watching video game reviews. And so that's why our video reviews are like, no, really, we're going to get this whole thing done in 5 minutes, and I'm going to tell you everything you need to know, because I hate when with videos waste my time.
Yeah, it's true, right? Things get hot, and I mean, we can go down this road of conversation forever. There are people doing board game reviews in video form that they're hot because people just enjoy watching what's on the screen. They may not be even looking for the review part of it, right? So, and you build up an audience, you build up a resume, but the written stuff, like Andrew said, it sticks around. It's around.
Yep. So it's always weird to look at like what review went to the top of the list all of a sudden in our analytics, and it's like, oh, our Gizmos review from 5 years ago. Why is this at the top for no reason?
So crazy.
So it's sometimes that stuff surprises me. I'm like,
our number one written review last year was the Blank Slate, and it would have been written in like 2019, I think. Really? Silly stuff. Wow. You just don't know.
Yeah.
Speaking of silly,
I know it's not our top one, but I always get a little like joy when I see that piece I wrote from I think 4 or 5 years ago now about why I hate Candyland and what you can play instead.
Oh yeah,
I do remember that. Yeah,
it still comes up because people are still being like, what can I play instead of Candyland with my 3-year-old or 4-year-old?
And they're actively searching that on the internet, right? Like,
so my warranted hatred of Uno, I should write an article about
totally.
It? Is that what you're telling me?
You should play Uno 99.
Yes, Tapple is our most visited video review. I don't know if it's our most visited.
I saw that on your channel,
site, but yeah. And Tapple is a 20-something-year-old game, but we got a copy of it. We did our video 2 years ago now.
Tapple's fun as
and it's
crap.
Great, yeah.
Kids,
So is Uno 99, Ryan.
Is it?
Nobody wants.
It's super good. If it wasn't called Uno something, you'd be like, "This is a really good little card game." That I would have. I can't believe Bob hasn't taught you that yet.
No, because we have Fuji Flush. Why do we need that?
Uno 99. You play that, and I'll try whatever it is, Unfaithful. Yeah.
Unmatched. That's fine. That's fine. Hey, listen, we'll sit down. We'll sit down at the next convention. You teach me Uno 99. I'll tell you all the things wrong with it, and then I'll teach you Unmatched, and you'll complain like some privileged YouTube
likely
commenter.
Speaking of privilege, I don't know. Speaking of the next thing, we're up to the Game Chat presents pick 5. These are our 5 picks in a certain category. They're not the top 5. They're not the best 5. They're just 5 games. And our category choice this time is an international theme or setting. So something that's international. We did not prep you to tell you that we love to show off the game if you got it there box-wise, but obviously not to worry if you don't.
You can point to things and be like, it's over there.
Or just have Andrew run down with boxes and we'll be all set.
Yeah. He could Vanna White it in the background.
But Anitra, to start with you, a game with an international theme or setting that you enjoy.
Okay. So when you guys told me that this was our 5, I started thinking about international in terms of like not just one place.
Sure.
So games that talk about lots of places. And I think the quintessential one for that is Ticket to Ride and all of the various Ticket to Ride options.
Yeah, 100%.
I really like the Africa map, which is weird. But there are so many different countries and partial continents and partial countries, and it's just really cool. And that one I can't point to because our friend has it all. So we don't
all of the Ticket to Ride.
That it's like the Norway or Norwegian one or something like that. I haven't played it in a long time, but that's a fun map.
Yeah.
We bought my daughter the India Switzerland, India Sweden map set for Christmas last year.
Very nice.
Really cool. Like I love being able to swap out those maps and play something different. So I'm gonna go with I'll go with the one that I can't show. Let's go with Agueda City of Umbrellas. Agueda is a really, really good game coming out from 25th Century Games. It's really solid, great components. We had the prototype for a couple months. Taught so many people how to play.
We did.
It is a beautiful game, and so that one's going to hit early next year.
I thought it was. I thought it was early next year.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so Guaida is going to be my first pick.
That's fair. I'm going with a heavy Euro at that, and that's going with Lisboa from Vital Lacerda, nice. About the destruction of the Portuguese capital city. Beautiful game. To alright, I will sneak a Lacerda game into every category we ever do, if at all possible. It is. It's in my top, probably 3 of his games, but very, very well done, and probably one of the easier to understand once you get playing it. But yes, lots of Portugal love, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm gonna go with another one after.
Perfect.
This. Okay,
Anitra, what you got?
All right. So my next one is going to be trekking through history, because I haven't played Trekking the World, which might be a better fit, but I haven't played that one. And Trekking through history, I feel like you're going not just all through time, but all around the world, exploring all of these different parts of what happened and where and when. And I love just walking through that one and seeing all of the different, like, oh, well, this was in China, and this was in the Middle East, and this was in North America. And
so, yeah, it's a perfect choice. I love that game. Both of them are great.
Nice. Sticking with Portugal, let's go with Cafe. Cafe is a tile-laying game from Portugal about making coffee. It takes you through the process of basically harvesting the beans, roasting beans, and then processing the beans and shipping it to cafes. So this is a really cool. This is a small game. It's not one that's very well known. When we taught it to Bob immediately was like, how come people aren't talking about it, and bought a copy immediately while sitting there.
Of course he did.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've played that one.
It's a really good one. It's way thinkier. So you're laying down these tiles that have six cells in them, kind of like is it Honshu? Where you're able to layer them. Okay. And so but you can only, when you take an action, you take a specific action for everything that's linked together. So you're trying to find synergies to do that one action multiple times.
And I just added it to my list. Perfect.
It's real good.
Next up for me is I could have got the base one, but I just decided to get the roll and write version. And that is Joan of Arc, the Orleans draw and write, roll and write.
I still haven't played that one.
It's really easy if you understand Orleans.
It's not too hard even if you don't understand Orleans, because I haven't played Orleans, but Isaac taught me to play Joan of Arc.
It's nice. Fun. Great. It hits the theme of Orleans really well, which is I love. It's a roll and write. I mean, who doesn't love a good? It's a draw and write, actually. It's like a drawing tiles out of bag draw and write. So we played that at PAX, didn't we? PAX Unplugged.
PAX Unplugged. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you know that at Essen they're coming out with a kids Orleans game?
I would play that.
I bet you would.
Wow.
I didn't like the co-op version. For what it's worth, I'm not a big co-op fan anyway. But kids version, I'd play the heck out of that.
It's something about like building the castle or something like that. Yeah,
I love it.
Okay.
Oh,
Stephanie found out.
So it's number 3.
Stephanie's got younger kids than me, so she's really going to be interested in that.
Yeah. Stephanie's like, yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what's number 3?
So number 3 for me. Sticking still with our international theme, but moving out of geography, I love the game Ancestry by Eric Lang. It is the least Eric Lang game I've ever played.
There we go. Yeah.
But
I remember playing that game the year it came out at Origins, and I just remember being like, "This is pretty good." I don't have a copy.
I know I have my copy right over there. But
is yours also signed by Eric Lang?
Very nice. But like the art is super weird, but I love it's the international melting pot. Like
Yes, it
you're
is.
putting together your family tree and you've got to have lots of different nationalities and types of people represented.
Yeah, I love it. Do you know the story behind the design of that?
The art part I do. That the art in it is actually copying the kind of portraits that used to be used for family tree and like genealogy
Family
stuff
lineage.
like 400 years ago. Yeah.
His wife asked him. He asked his wife, "What kind of game theme would you want me to make?" And she said something about lineage and genealogy, and she described what she would like to see in a game, and that was the inspiration for that one. So
That's awesome.
that's why it's the least Eric Lange, because it's a Mrs. Lange game, not a Mr. Lange game. So
that's hilarious. My next one's going to be Shikoku. So this is a highly underrated game. I'm doing a series on TikTok and Instagram right now. Underrated games, hidden gems of our collection, and Shikoku is one of the first ones that I picked out for that because it is one that I don't see enough people talking about. It plays up to 8 players. It plays as low as 3. It plays well at 3. It plays well at 8. We taught. It was 4 couples sat down and played this, had a blast, and one of the couples immediately ordered it as soon as we finished playing it. So Shikoku's a lot of fun. It takes place on a Japanese island, and so it's really cool.
The Evans actually introduced that to us. They got into all things Japanese games and found that, and I was like, oh my gosh, how did I? It's been a number of years, but the fact that it plays that 8 and it plays the 8 smoothly. Right, is well, really
and that
nice.
It also plays at 3 just as smoothly
as well.
Is amazing.
Yeah, and it because there's more cards available at 3, more cards are cycling through the whole game. It's interesting because you see a lot more variety. Even though cards are only 1 through 33 always, you're getting more options in the 3-player game, but then people are giving up some of their best things in an 8-player game, which is neat.
Yeah, no, I love that one. Great choice. Also in a Japanese theme is going to be Takenoko. Nice. Beautiful, simple, crazy amount of table presence when we first got it. And not as much as of late, but one that'll never leave my collection. I played this earlier this year with my daughter, wanted to play it. My daughter and wife played it, and just simple, and it's... I didn't see the year on here. I was going to look it up and I forgot, but it's got a few.
It's probably 2015, 2016.
I feel like it's got a few years on it, right? Like it's got to be hitting near 10, even though it doesn't feel like it.
Oh, really? You think it's older?
I'll look it up.
I felt like it was newer. I feel like it was only a year old when we started One Board Family in
1899, it says.
1890.
Surprisingly, 2011. So it's actually 12 years old.
Yeah, we were already playing it with our kids before we started Family Gamers in 2015.
Okay, so it was older than I thought when we started. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Number
2.
Number 2. All right, so this one, I feel like it's a little bit of a reach, but I really wanted to include something that was accessible for young kids. And this is a surprisingly good game. It's the Disney It's a Small World game. Yes, it is based on the ride.
Very international.
Yeah.
It is an international game.
Yeah. It's awesome.
Got little animatronic baby people.
So, there's no electronics in this game, thankfully.
Is that Funko that did that one? I'm trying to remember. Yes. Yeah, I've never played it.
Yeah, it is 2 teams, no matter how many players you have. So you could play it at 2 players, you could play it at more, but it's always 2 teams.
Okay.
And it's a matching game without having a whole lot of a memory component, but has a little bit of a memory component. And it's got all of these illustrations from or inspired by the Small World ride, like all of these various international scenes with very cute little cartoon children. And the cool thing is you're moving your boats around on this board and looking at the walls with all these paintings of children on them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But occasionally you draw cards that let you flip the walls around so you can see what's on the other side of them without having to actually move your boat all the way over to where the other side would be. So component wise, it's really cool. And little kids think it's really cool to play, but it's totally accessible that it's just, hey, let's look at the cards that we have in our hand. Let's look at where our boat is. Okay, from, in this quadrant of the board with these walls, what can we see from the cards on our hand? And everything we can see, we get to score.
Nice.
Love it.
That's cool. I like that Stephanie will allow it. I think we need a referee. Somebody to come in and be like ruling on the field that we're going to allow that one.
Fair.
So,
yeah.
There's definitely been some controversial picks.
Mostly you,
over the years. So, my second pick is Istanbul. This one is one that my sister-in-law bought for me and Aaron for Christmas a couple of years ago. And it is a game that plays so good at 2 players, plays so good at 4 players. It's just a really well thought out design. It's got some nice little components. The board's always different. It's a lot of fun, and one that doesn't see as much playtime as it probably should. It's really good. And Istanbul, the dice game's out there, and there's been different iterations, but Istanbul is a really solid game.
Very nice.
So.
This is a WizKids game from just a few years ago. That's Bumantu. This is a tile placing game, African culture. It's got these great little, you can kind of hear them in there, like clay animal tiles. You can kind of see some of the action on there, but you're kind of moving around, and depending on which animals you're picking up, it does certain actions, and it's got a very true to the African root theme of the culture for what the animals represent and how they behave and how they interact with each other. So it's a fun little game. It's nice. It's funny you talk about unknown games. I feel like I could have a slew of WizKids games that have got missed over time. They get kind of buried amongst other games, but that one was one that was a really, really well done production on their part.
Yeah, that's cool. I've never even seen that.
I had no idea.
There you go.
Nice. All right, last one.
My last one is one of our favorite games here at Family Gamers headquarters. It's Pan Am.
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about international? Like, let's run an international airline.
Yes. There we go.
That's
Pan Am's amazing. It's back there
really
somewhere. But in Pan Am, you're actually running a little regional airline and hoping to get bought out by Pan Am. But it's
such a weird concept when you think about it. It's like, all right, come on, monopolize me.
You definitely end up like placing an airplane, be like, ooh, this is right in the path, so I might get this airplane back like on my next turn and get more Pan Am stock for it because Pan Am bought me out. Yeah. But it's a really cool game. It's a really cool concept, and I think what keeps us coming back is that it feels really, really different at every player count.
It does.
It plays at 2 and at 3 and at 4. And at 2, it's this super chill, laid back, like it's a Euro game, but it's just kind of like, all right, I'm going to go around. I'm going to do stuff. And at 4 players, it's a really tight Euro game, the kind where you're always wanting to do more than you have the resources to do.
Yep.
But at 3 players, it ends up being super cutthroat because you get a few more pawns to place.
But not much.
But there's not any more spaces to put them on. So in 3 players, you're constantly kicking each other out of stuff and making everything more expensive to do.
Yeah, it's definitely a different game with those counts. I love that about it. Oh, there's a good question.
So Stephanie asked, "What's your favorite player count for Pan
It
Am?"
really depends on the mood I'm in. Really. I
true.
Maybe 4 players is my favorite because I like the kind of game that leaves me feeling like, oh, if we could have just had one more round, And at 4 players, Pan Am definitely gives you that. Like, I just wanted a little bit more. I just wanted to go a little bit further.
At 4 players, I feel like it's very similar to something like It's a Wonderful World, where you wish you had that fifth round. You're sitting there, you're like, I could have done this, and I could have gotten here, and this would have happened. I had this card, but you just run out of time, so you have to do the best you can with what you've got.
3 is definitely my least favorite player count on that. 2 is solid. Yeah.
So. Yeah, 2's really good. It's real relaxed at 2. That's actually one of the things that we've done before. Sat there and just drank coffee, and Aaron and I just play. And yeah, it's a tight game too. So, which is good. So, yep. Yeah. There we go. There we go.
Man. If we could just fly everywhere to play games with people
I wish
we
I
wanted
could, Stephanie. Someday.
That would be cool. My last one is Founders of Teotihuacan. So speaking of board and dice, this one is probably the most accessible out of the Teotihuacan series.
Agreed.
So it's very accessible to new players, people who are just learning the mechanics of some of the harder, chunkier games. This one has a really cool. The architect is moving around the outside of the board, and you're only able to build where the architect is. It's got some really cool mechanics, and I really like the layers of gaming that are here. Do you want to go one route with resources, or do you want to go another route by building the temple? There's a lot of different ways to do it. And Founders of Teotihuacan, I think this fell just outside of my top 10 last year, but is absolutely an excellent game about pre-Columbian, pre-Columbian culture. So.
Yep. Perfect. Finally, Glenmore 2. This is the expansion for Glenmore, the Highland games, but Glenmore is such a fun exploration, right, of the Scottish world. It's a great, what is the mechanic I'm looking for? The rondel mechanic, and the pass, and how far along this path do I want to go, with that same feeling as what's the other game? Is it not Takenoko? The one where you're trying to go as far as you can down the line. This Japanese Takedo.
Yes,
Thank you. So that same how far do I want to move to get the actions I want, to give other people other stuff? I love it. It's a fun one. It's got a lot of characters in it, and some of the expansion packs, and super fun, simple game.
That's good. Power Grid Barcelona Distilled Takedo.
Distilled is good. That's true. That's got a lot of different countries' alcohols in it. So I like it. I'll allow it.
Yeah, the ruling on the field, Stephanie.
Ruling on the field stands.
Distilled. Yay or nay? So yay or nay, Stephanie. So that's good. So we always end every show with what are we playing? What's hitting the table in our home? What are we taking time to sit down and play? So, we got a ruling on the field. Stephanie says allowed.
Allowed it is.
Good to go. So, yeah.
All right.
So what's hitting the Smith household table?
Oh, well, it's a weird time of year where we play fewer games, but we just started playing Mind Space from All Play. It's one of their new small box games.
Okay.
And the very first time we sat down to it, I was like, wait a minute, this game looks really familiar. And it's I guess you would say retheming-ish of a game that only came out in Japanese before, and I happened to see at PAX East last year. And somehow, so this kind of fits with the international, somehow they managed to take the exact, like, they kept the concept of the game, but made it something that was easier for Westerners to get their brains wrapped around. The original concept of the game was that you were like laying down tatami mats in a really small apartment or something like that. And those represented all of the things you do in your life. And all they did at All Play is they rethemed it to be like, oh, well, these represent all the things you do in your life. So we're just going to represent it taking up space in your brain.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
So
the original version was called 4.5 Tatami Mat
Tatami Mats,
Galaxy.
something
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
I didn't see the name translated into English until recently, so I was just like, "There's this cool game over there that has a name I can't pronounce."
There we go. Yeah, that's cool. I'll
Yeah,
have to look at
Mindspace
that.
is a lot of fun. I had a chance to play that a couple times and really enjoyed it so far.
Nice.
It's
a really cool polyomino roll and write kind of thing. Yeah.
How did I miss that? Was it at Origins?
I think it was in the Kickstarter that recently just funded from them. That's where it first came out. But I do not believe it was at Origins or Gen Con.
It was very recently released.
Oh, it was probably with Chomp and
yes. Yep, they came out with those.
Okay. So yeah, because it didn't come in time. Okay, yeah. So Bob might have a copy. I'll ask him. So cool. I like to announce when I'm wrong. I was wrong about this game. Keep It 100. Cut Games asked us to review some games. They sent them over. I did not want to review this game. I didn't have any interest in it. I thought that the video, it looked stupid. And so I didn't want to review it. And they sent it anyway. And we played it 4 times.
It's fun, right?
And the whole
it's super fun.
It's very fun. And I was wrong. So they were like, hey, here's 2 games. We'd love to send these to you. And I was like, actually, no, I only want that one. And they were like, well, we'll send both. And I was like, fine. I'm not even going to play the other one. And I was like, oh, that's good. I like it a lot.
Because it's basically it's timeline basically, right? But with like crazy fun number facts of like it's pretty funny. Some of them are a little risque for the questions.
So I'm actually going through the box right now. We played it with another couple, and then we played it with 2 different couples this weekend, and then the girls, we had my daughter had a friend staying over and they played it, so we kind of went through the cards real quick. And so there's some 17 plus cards in there, and we'll probably pull those and put them in a baggie off to the side.
But it is a fun game. Did you try the other one, the percentage ones?
You're talking about,
I can't think what it's called right now off the top of my head.
Humble Brag. Yeah, we played Humble Brag. I like that one less than this one, but I still like it. It's a good. We were sitting on the couch, just sitting around.
Just being silly with it.
That was the right setting. It was the right setting for that one. So, Blood Order. We just did a full playthrough of this, and actually taught Aaron how to play this. We were finishing this when I set up this computer. So, Blood Order from Trick or Treat Studios. You're a vampire in a new city. You got to get victims. You got to get them turned to vampires. It's real solid. It's a very unique bidding game, and I like it a lot. So. For whatever that's
interesting, worth. And it's right up your Halloweeny theme.
Yeah. So Stephanie said Brian and I learned to play Final Girl cooperatively yesterday morning. We were so close to winning. Worked as a co-op, awesome, because my copy of Final Girl is sitting over there unplayed.
My game I've been playing the most of recently, Hank just mentioned it, is one of his favorite internationals. It's the new release from Board and Dice. That's Barcelona. This game is so good. It is fast tracking itself into my #1 spot for this year so far.
Really?
So I'm a point salady, lots of decisions, Euro kind of guy. And the tracker around the board goes to 100 points. Yep. And then each player has tokens that go up to 400 points, which means they think you could score upwards of 500 points. I love that in a game. Like, I want to just score all the points and all the things, but but the art's really clean. It's solid. It looks like a mini Lacerda, mini Lisboa kind of style. It's an intimidating look, but my favorite part of it, it's got the if you guys have played was Stan's last game, Nova Roma, where you make a selection and there's a row and a column, and then your action selection is based off of the selection you made in that row and the column. So I love that, because there's some rows and columns you really want to get into for the action, but other ones you really want to get into for what you can do by being in that particular space on the map. So that that has hit like one of my favorite mechanics for action selection recently is
So
real
good.
column selection.
Nice. That's awesome. Stephanie's saying that they've been playing a lot of Three
Very
Sisters.
good game.
Man, Three Sisters,
Big
so
fan.
good. One of my top 10.
Tis the
of
season.
last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Time to get them harvesting crop
Exactly.
games to the table. So cool. So Anitra, where can people find you and your family
So
and your games?
the easiest place is to go to our website, thefamilygamers.com. But we are all over the place on social media at Family Gamers AA for Andrew and Anitra. On YouTube, Family Gamers AA is good. The Family Gamers also works, thankfully. And what else? We have a Discord server now. I mean, we share a Discord server. And we are slowly getting the word out about that. But if you go to thefamilygamers.com/Discord, I bet it will take you there.
Yep. So that is it's a joint venture between Little Big Thumbs, yourself. We joined,
and we're pulling in a
up,
couple of other content creators too.
Yeah,
folks who
that's
folks
really
who don't
good.
have Discord yet.
So
possibly us.
Are you?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So so we're that's exciting to have that Discord space for family gaming. So you can find us at oneboardfamily.com. It is currently spooky season. You see all the games behind me. We are playing lots of spooky games for days. We publish tons and tons. We have to break our spooky season 30-day I guess challenge, because I've got some previews that have to go up that have nothing to do with spookiness. But we have a lot of we've done reviews for both Texas Chainsaw Massacre games. Blood Orders just got a full playthrough on our YouTube channel. Halloween the board game, which is right over here, super good. Emerson Masucci hidden movement game is getting a review this week, so it's wonderful. So but yeah, if you like scary games,
I do love me some Emerson games. Gaming with Sidekicks at Instagram, the X, aka Twitter, Facebook, and especially over on TikTok, where we just did me talking for about 20% of an hour-long video, probably. So we'll see what that looks like until we figure it out otherwise. But yeah, that's where you can find most of our content, and we'd love to interact with everybody. We appreciate everybody coming out and chatting it up with us tonight.
Absolutely. You guys make the show. Thank you for joining us live. Seriously, we love it when we get so many chats, so many people contributing. The game chat is not just Isaac and myself. It's our guest. It's the people who come on and talk with us on Monday nights. Our next episode actually has a really cool theme. We're going to be doing Halloween games with a member of Trick or Treat Studios. Joe Stoken will be on the show next for our next show on the
23rd, 2 weeks. Yes, sir. This is the most prepared we've been for a show. You've been like so ready for a Halloween show.
Oh man,
ready for a Halloween show. You kidding?
Yeah, you said something about we could do our Halloween show on the 30th. I was like, what? It's like, why would we?
Yeah, he was ready to do it in June.
So anyway, yeah, I was right. I was like, hey, August 15th, can we do it? So,
well, Anitra, thanks again for joining us.
Yes,
it was great
being here.
Thank you
so much, Anitra. Yeah, absolutely. So you all have a great rest of the night.
Bye, everybody.